was scrolling through Instagram one day when I came across this reel of someone animating while their sibling was creating the 3D model for the background. And like any other rational person who sees something cool online, I thought, yeah, I could do that too. I didn't have a sibling who could do 3D modeling, but I did have a good friend who could. You can check him out here in his socials. And so, my friend and I decided to take on this one big challenging collaboration, something we've never done before, and I'm taking you guys along for the ride. For starters, we had to decide what we're animating, who we're animating, where we're animating, and of course, our roles. The concept was this: we didn't want just a basic walk cycle. We wanted to tell a small story with it. So, we took the two main characters from my comic series and placed them in a scenario. Picture this: their shift ends for the day, so they could head out, walk home from their office. When suddenly, they encounter a supposed threat up ahead. Shize immediately shifts into action mode, while Kiel gets completely shocked by the sudden escalation, only to find out that the threat was just a cute kitten. Yeah. We thought this was a cute idea since it showed more of their personalities and their dynamic together. And so, we shook hands and officially set out to do the task. I was in charge of the entire 2D animation side of things, which included storyboarding, sketching, and coloring. Meanwhile, he handled the 3D department, which consists of modeling, sculpting, and animating and compositing, which is, all the effects and pizzazz that brings the whole thing together. But there was one problem. I had never animated a walk cycle before. Sure, I had a rough idea of how animation worked. I dabbled on it here and there, and I'd done a bit of motion graphics in the past too. But, overall, no idea. However, I do think that it shouldn't be too bad. The concept is simple. Multiple drawings, called frames, played at a certain rate, create motion. And because of motion graphics, I knew from graphs that spacing frames differently can change how movement feels. So yes, I technically knew how to make pictures move, but I had no idea what the actual process or workflow would look like, especially compared to painting, where everything is already ingrained in my brain and it's just muscle memory. I had two options. Number one, study the fundamentals and learn the most efficient way to do it. Or, number two, just mess around and learn as I go, aka the trial and error method. And if you've seen my previous videos, you'd know that I'm a scholar and a graduate of a science high school. So the answer here should be obvious. Of course, I'm going to research and study a skill I'm unfamiliar with before doing it, is what I would say if I was a loser. Yeah, that's right. Here at DVMP Comics, we do the things the hard way. Why save yourself the pain of going blind when you can personally discover why people prepare beforehand, am I right? So that's exactly what I did. Yeah, I sat down at my desk, armed with the only limited knowledge I had at the time, grabbed my pen, and got to work. The first thing I did was draw the rough animation of the entire sequence. Big mistake. I should have drawn the keyframes first, or at least the storyboard. Why did I jump straight into the movement? Some might call it an amateur mistake, driven by the naive enthusiasm you get when tackling something new. And from there, I immediately ran into my first set of challenges. Animating one character is one thing, but animating two, maybe even three? What's the protocol here? Do I animate them all at the same time or separately? Remember when I said I was doing the trial and error method? Yeah, I committed. So first, I tried animating them all in the same frame at the same time. I progressed faster, yeah, I did. But I also felt extremely overwhelmed pretty quickly. The animation too was rougher and the movements were stiffer and I wasn't able to focus on each character individually. So I quickly realized that animating them separately might take longer, but it produced better results. Focusing on each character made it easier to spot errors and refine their movements. Yeah! In-betweening, I think. This is where you draw the frames that transition your poses from A to B. It's what makes animations feel smooth instead of choppy. Not all movements need the same number of in-betweens, depending on the action. The number of frames will vary. For example, here I added more in-betweens to make the walk feel smoother, while over here, I used fewer frames to make it snappier and stiffer to emphasize the awkwardness. Or even here, with the hand movement, I added more frames to show her charging up, fewer frames when she grabs a sword to make it feel fast and impactful. Well, I just wanted to show you guys this part. It was cool for me and I was kind of proud of it. After finishing the in-betweens for the rough animatic, it was finally time to sketch the characters. Time to replace these mannequins with my OCs. Hell yeah. Speed things up. I copied and pasted frames and only redrew the parts that changed. And just like that, finished sketch. Normally, this is where I'd move on to the line art, and I was doing just that until my software, Procreate Dreams, had a major update. Introduced selections, transforms, and an entirely new UI. So I said, screw it, we're cleaning up the sketch and going straight to coloring. Coloring was pretty uneventful, not gonna lie. It was repetitive and actually kind of relaxing. Like, honestly, this was my favorite part. Once the colors were added, the animation felt way more alive. I didn't want to go full Daedalus and Icarus and aim for the sun by trying to color like Japanese animators, you know how they do it, like separate shadows, highlights, and all that. This was my first serious animation, okay? So I just stuck to the flat colors. And after all that, it was finally time to check on the 3D department. Yeah, remember this guy? We're going back to him. Greythorn was actually already done with the 3D background while I was still animating. So he was basically just waiting for me to send over the final animation for compositing. Once I did, he jumped straight into it. And watching everything come together bit by bit was so satisfying. He even adjusted the lighting and added this really cool rim light that made the characters pop. And don't even get me started on the power of VFX lighting, and after all that hard work, we ended up with this. And here's the breakdown of the entire process, just for reminders. But yeah, overall, I learned so much from this experience. It was incredibly fun and honestly made me want to pursue animation. Or maybe even create my own animated series someday. Who knows? For now, I'll continue telling the story through my comic with a few animations here and there. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. If you want to support me, feel free to subscribe to the channel, check out my comic linked down below, and yeah, thank you for watching. I'll be seeing you in the next one. Bye!